If you edit videos in Adobe Premiere Pro, you're definitely making some simple editing mistakes that are holding your videos back from their full potential. I've learned these the hard way over the last 10 years, but lucky for you, you're going to know them all in the next few minutes. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video, as the last one is by far the most important and no one ever seems to talk about it. So without further ado, let's get on to number one. Okay, so mistake number one on the list is cropping into people's faces wrong. But how could you crop into someone's face wrong? The number one rule that you have to do to make it look super smooth is always crop in on the eye level. Now, what am I talking about? Well, when people are watching someone talk, they are drawn to staring at their eyes. So when we do these impactful crops, maybe we enlarge the video by 20%, 50%, it's really important that you line up where the eye levels are on the wide version and the close-up version, because if they're not lined up, then it can feel like the person is jumping around the frame a bit and it's a bit distracting and disorientating for the viewer. Okay, so naturally we would scrub along and people would often find themselves cutting here and then zooming in this clip when I'm saying the impactful line. We'd be just bringing the scale up, and if we just bring the scale up, we can see that, and then I'm going to pause and say something really important. So it's got that motion, it's got the emphasis on it, but it feels disorientating to watch. And that's because my eye levels jumping from here in the video higher up the screen, okay? So how can we fix this super fast and guarantee that we get it perfect every single time? We're gonna make sure we have the rulers visible on the preview window. If you don't see them, go to View, Show Rulers, and they will appear. And if we hover our mouse over the edge of the ruler, we will see a double-edged arrow. By clicking and dragging down, we can now add a guide to the video. This is a line that's just an overlay, and this won't be in the final video. It's just simply a guide. What we'll do is we'll drag it down so it's in line with our eyes. And we could even, if you want, do a vertical line from the side and line it up with in between our eyes. And now we know that that is where our eye position is. So when we go to the next clip, we can see how far off we are. And with it selected, we can just simply readjust the position, making sure that it is as close to that crosshead that we've created as possible. So if you want to get rid of those lines afterwards, we can go to View and uncheck the Show Guides, or hide them. And if we watch it back, I'll play it with me talking, and then I'm going to pause and say something really important. So there we have it, perfectly lined up, cut in every single time. Premiere Pro editing mistake number 2 is leaving audio pops in your videos. Now, what is an audio pop? Well, if you have a long video clip and you've trimmed lots of bits out of it, and then you have closed those gaps, as you play the video, often if there's background noise wherever you filmed, you'll hear these annoying like click or pop sort of sounds as the video plays from one clip to another. So I've got a little example here. This is just some iPhone footage taken outside. Because of the wind and the background noise, you'll hear a click as the video plays between the two clips. Super easy to fix. We can just highlight both of the clips, and with both of them selected on my MacBook, I would hold Shift Command D, and that will apply the default audio transition, which is just a crossfade between those two clips. Now, we don't want it to be a big crossfade because we don't want there to be too much audio spillage from one clip into another. We'll just make sure it's as small as it can be, really. And now if we play that again, there we go. So it just takes the edge off of when there's two clips touching each other that need a little bit of subtle audio blending together. If we had a whole long video and there was loads of cuts and loads of little pops to fix, then all we have to do is highlight all of the audio and then Shift Command D on the Mac. And as we can see, it's applied that audio transition to every single clip. Premiere Pro mistake number 3 is not utilizing all of the layers at your disposal. Now, what I mean by this is often when we first make a sequence in Premiere, we either drop and drag a clip into the timeline, we can manually create a sequence ourselves, but often Premiere Pro will only give us a couple of video tracks and maybe 2 or 3 audio tracks to work with. Now, this is fine when you start out because, you know, maybe you've got a video clip and it's got some audio, and then maybe we have a music track. Pretty quickly, we use up all of the available layers. Now, we can create new layers as we go on with the project, and we would do that by clicking and dragging the clips into the timeline area, but then holding it in the blank space where we want the video track to be. We can let go and it will automatically create the video track for us. However, it will save you so much time and energy if just at the beginning of the video, right click, add tracks, and then give yourself 10 more video tracks and 10 more audio tracks. And now you have so much more space to work with. It is so much easier just spending 1 second at the beginning, giving yourself loads of tracks, and then they're already there for the entirety of your project, and you don't have to keep adding new ones in every single time you want an extra layer. This also comes in super handy in the sound design process because you're working with loads and loads of small audio clips, and to get great sound design, you have to layer these clips up, which will allow you to create depth to the audio. So at the beginning, just make a bunch and save yourself a hell of a lot of hassle throughout the editing process. Mistake number 4 is deleting the clips instead of disabling the clips. Now, I've seen a lot of editors before, and I used to do it in the past, go through their timeline, and as they're piecing together a video, if they didn't like where a clip was, they would just hit backspace and delete it from the timeline. At that moment, you might think it's the right decision. You feel like it's just an easy way to get it out of the timeline. However, if you later decide, oh, actually, no, that did look all right there, it is so much effort to go back into your project folder, find that section of the clip, bring it back in, and it is so much hassle. Instead, you want to use the enable feature. Now, if you haven't used this already, with the clip selected, we can right click and we can scroll down, and we can see here it says enable. That has been checked, meaning the video clip is enabled and we can see it in the timeline. If I uncheck that, now it will hide that clip. It hasn't deleted the clip, we can still see it in the timeline. It is not visible to us when we press play, and it won't be there when we press export. Now this is super handy because it allows us to hide things, maybe if we want to see what it looks like not being there. If we decided we did like it there, or we wanted to change around our options, then it's a non-destructive move that we can reverse. So I can right click on it and we can click enable, and it brings the clip back to life. But we can take this another step further to make it even easier and faster. To make this even faster, I have the hotkey E on my keyboard. So when the clip is selected and I press E, it will instantly enable or unenable that clip. This is really handy when you have maybe lots of B-roll and you want to try out where it's positioned, or if you've got a 2-camera setup and you want to cut between them, you can unenable and enable the clips depending on which layer you want to see. But if you change your mind, you can just re-enable the clip that you're using. Mistake number 5 is bad audio levels, and that goes for talking, music, and the sound design. Having good audio on your video is arguably even more important than having good footage. Because if you have good sound, people can forgive bad footage. But if you have great footage, but everything sounds awful, people will not want to watch it. Now, inside of Premiere Pro, when we have audio files, we can see the waveforms here. Now, the bigger the waveforms, the louder it is. So when Premiere Pro plays the audio, it will show you the volume on this graph down the side. We can just pinch and make this bigger to make it even easier to see. So let's just watch that for a second. This is an example clip of me talking. So we can see it kind of creates a yellow line. This is an example clip of where the peak of the audio is. Now, if this is an audio track of someone talking, we should be aiming for the audio to peak between about -12 and -6, because any higher than that is what we'll call peaking, and that's when the audio gets distorted, it's too loud, it won't sound nice, and it doesn't play nice from speakers. So on average, this is a bit quiet. We will fix this by right-clicking and then going audio gain. We can adjust the gain, and we can give it an extra, let's say 5. If I hit enter, we can see those waveforms get bigger because it's louder. If I press play, and we can see there that it roughly was hanging around the -12 to -6. We can also adjust the volume of the clips by just clicking and dragging on the middle of the audio track. So just by clicking here and we drag up, we can see here, it tells us how much we're increasing the decibels by. And if we go down, it will show you how much you're decreasing the decibels by. And now for music. Music, if it is going to be in the background of someone talking, wants to be much quieter. And I would aim for the volume to be around -30 or to -24. So we can see here, if I just only play the music track, that is super loud at -6. So let's bring it down, and we can see here we've just reduced that by 20 decibels. Let's play that again. Okay, so it's kind of hovering between the -30 and -24. So if we play them together, this is an example clip of me talking and then saying something really important. So that's not too bad. So we can hear the voice, we can hear the background music. You can make incremental adjustments depending on how loud the person's talking or how loud the music track is. Super important bonus tip is to think ahead about where your video is going to be played. If you're making a video that's going to be posted on Instagram, for example, you need to export your video, send it to your phone, and then listen to it on your phone before you post it on Instagram. Because often you will be editing a video on a laptop that has nice speakers, it's got bass to it, you know, it's got a bit more depth to the sound. But then when you send it to your phone, where it's actually going to be viewed and where everyone else is going to watch it on their phone, you might not be able to hear the music at all because the speakers are different and, you know, just the way that the sound carries through different sound systems. That brings me on to editing mistake number 6, and that is overusing sound effects. Now, obviously, I've been going on about how fantastic sound effects are, but you can always have too much of a good thing. Now, what do I mean by this? It's not uncommon to find a sound effect that you absolutely love, but then your brain just decides that you need to put it in the video every 3 seconds to make it sound more dramatic or funny or whatever your intention is with that sound effect. This might work for the first couple seconds, but trust me, it gets extremely irritating to hear the same sound effect over and over again. If you're making videos that have whoosh sound effects, try and find at least 3 or 4 different ones that you can vary between. Don't have them exactly next to each other in the timeline. Now, if you are short of sound effects and you're really trying to make the most with the few that you have, this is a top tip that will allow you to use the same one over and over again, but it won't annoy people. So here, for example, I've got a whoosh sound effect. And if we were to have them back to back, that would be extremely annoying to listen to. However, we could change the pitch of some of them. So if we go over to the effects panel, go to pitch shifter, drag the effect on here, we could pitch it up or down. So for this example, I'll pitch it down. So just dragging this slider down to -5. And then I'll do the same for the third one, but I will pitch it up to +5. So although these are all the same sound effect, now let's have a listen. There we have it, same sound effect, but basically 3 brand new sound effects out of this. We can also get a similar effect by using the rate stretch tool and by extending the audio track or shortening the audio track. That will also have an effect on the pitch because we're speeding it up and slowing it down. So this is just a great way where you can reuse the same sound effect and not annoy the hell out of people. And last but not least is mistake number 7, and that is seeking perfection. I cannot tell you how many hundreds of thousands of probably fantastic video projects that have been made out there by really talented video editors that have never seen the light of day because they just want to spend 1 more hour adding that extra few sound effects, tweaking that last bit of color grading, or making it absolutely perfect before they share it with the world. And this cycle goes on and on and on until they're never ever actually truly happy with it and they never post it. The truth is, when it comes to video editing, you could edit the first 90% of the video in perhaps a few hours, but then you'll spend another 10 hours on that last 5 or 10% that to you will make the video absolutely perfect. Now, don't get me wrong, with video editing, you should of course take pride in your work. However, please do not fall into the trap of forever wanting to just make a few more adjustments, make it that 1% better, because chances are what you're spending all these extra hours on at the end, you might notice, and it might be important to you, but probably the average viewer might not even notice it. And if it's the difference between you posting it and not posting it, then by all means, stop at the 90% mark and just get it out there. Do not fall into the trap of having loads of half-finished or nearly done video projects that will just sit on your laptop and never see the light of day. Because if people don't ever see the work, then they don't ever know you've done it. And if I could give you one piece of advice that will help you with your video editing career is people will only pay you to do what they've already seen you do for yourself or someone else, but this time for them. So if you post loads and loads of cool fashion shoot videos that you've been doing and get them all online, people will see them and say, hey, I want you to do a fashion shoot just like you've done for yourself, but do it for me. But if you do loads and loads of fashion shoot videos, but they all just sit on your hard drive, they never see the light of day, no one's ever going to know you've done them, no one's ever going to pay you to do another one, and it is just a closed loop cycle of never getting any more video work. So don't be so much of a perfectionist and just get the videos out there. Share them with the world. Thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know in the comments if there's any mistakes that you've learned that you can share with someone else, maybe save them some time, money, and energy. If you learned anything in this video, drop it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.